de mi corazón.
Congressman, we're just kind of blown away that Democrat judges can rule that unaccountable drop boxes, when there's footage of people shoving stacks of ballots in there, that's an illegitimate election. Hey.
Yeah, no, that was great. I was listening to that, Benny, what you were talking about and some of the things you were playing there. But remember, I think it was like 20 years ago, we had a bipartisan report saying that, mail-in voting, mail-in balloting is a dangerous place to go. It is all kinds of potential for problems when you do that. And certainly drop boxes fits in that same category. And so I guess in many ways, we shouldn't be surprised that there were all kinds of concerns with the last presidential election, because they told us that. And again, it was bipartisan. I'm the members of Congress who were the authors of that, it's escaping me now. But I just remember that report, bipartisan, saying, don't do this, don't go this way. And then, of course, that's exactly what happened in 2020. And we had all these concerns.
And we played a clip earlier of Kamala Harris saying, whoa, electronic voting, unlimited mail-in balloting, this is really bad stuff. Yep. Like Kamala Harris arguing when she was a senator that these things are going to lead to people losing faith in elections. And now you are seeing in New Jersey, in Connecticut, in Michigan, massive criminal cases, felonies that are being charged by Democrats against Democrats for these exact crimes that, of course, is anathema to talk about.
Yeah,
I guess, are we allowed to talk about it when it's Democrats cheating against Democrats? Because here's the AP from this morning.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's all a concern, and yeah, we're not. There's all kinds of things we're not allowed to say. We're not allowed to, only Democrats are allowed to vote against accepting the electors on January 6, 2001, January 6, 2005, January 6, 2017. But if Republicans raise concerns like we did in 2021, somehow that's wrong. You can't do that. Even though Democrats have done it every time a Republican's been elected this century. So yeah, there's always this double standard, unfortunately. What we want is fair elections, free elections. We want everyone to vote who's allowed to vote. That's a system we want, but we also want the safeguards in place where you show a voter ID, where you have the signature match and you follow the law. That's how we want it to work. And we want whoever wins. That's how our great system is supposed to operate.
Yes. There is an erosion of faith in our institutions and faith in justice. Here from the House Judiciary Committee this morning, you're saying that Hunter Biden, that Weiss had authority in Hunter Biden case limited.
Yeah. No,
and that the DOJ effectively put shackles on him for charging Hunter.
Well, I mean, first he said he had the ultimate authority. He changed his story 3 times in 33 days this summer, in 2 letters he sent to me, one he sent to Senator Graham. And we've now deposed. We've had the U.S. attorney from the Central District of California, the U.S. attorney from the District of Columbia, the U.S. attorney from the Western District of Pennsylvania. We've talked to all these guys, and we talked to the head guy at DOJ Tax, who was part of the Hunter Biden investigation. And they all said, no, he didn't really have ultimate authority. We chose not to partner with him. The guy at DOJ Tax says he couldn't bring tax charges unless we okayed it. So David Weiss is telling the country one thing when, in fact, that just wasn't the case. We actually have him coming in for his deposition next Tuesday. We look forward to asking him questions now that we've interviewed so many other folks who were part of the investigative team. What we do know is this Department of Justice, the Department of Justice, they spied on Capitol Hill staffers. We found that Republican staffers. We found that out last week. One of those was, of course, a key staffer for Senator Grassley. They've, of course, treated parents as terrorists. They said if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're an extremist. And then on the other hand, when it came to investigating Hunter Biden, they slow-walked the investigation. They didn't follow their rules. They tried to get this sweetheart deal past the judge in Delaware, who thankfully said no to it. So that's sort of what we see is one set of treatment for the Biden family, a different set for parents and Catholics and Republican staffers, for goodness sake. So we're going to try to get to the bottom of all of that as we pursue this impeachment inquiry that I think has certainly been warranted, and we continue to gather the facts for that.
Yeah, that's right. We saw the clip on Hannity. Perhaps we have that ready to play with everyone raising their hands and saying, hey, we expect the impeachment of Joe Biden to go forward. You were in the room last night. Can you give us an update?
Well, I said this last night. I do think the most compelling evidence thus far is what happened relative to Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and this Ukrainian energy company, Burisma. So 4 fundamental facts. Hunter Biden is put on the board of Burisma, fact number one. Fact number two, he was not qualified to be on the board. He had no qualifications in energy and this, but he's put on the board because of the brand, because of the Biden brand that his partner, Devon Archer, testified to when we deposed him a few months ago. Fact number three, Hunter Biden and Devon Archer meet with the key executives from Burisma in Dubai, and the executives say, hey, we are under pressure. Can you talk to Washington and help relieve the pressure? Immediately after that conversation, Hunter Biden calls his father. And then 5 days later, Joe Biden, then vice president, who had the Ukrainian portfolio as part of his responsibilities, goes to Ukraine and starts the process to fire the very prosecutor who's applying the pressure to Burisma that they asked to be, the executives from Burisma asked to be relieved from. That all happens in a short amount of time, 5 days. That all takes place. I think that's the most compelling evidence because Joe Biden used the tax dollars of the people I get the privilege of representing in the 4th District of Ohio, American tax money. He leveraged that to get the result he wanted, the result that his son asked him to do 5 days previously because the executives of Burisma wanted it done. That, I think, is the most compelling evidence we have, and we will continue to pursue that, and how that all works fits in with the way David Weiss handled the investigation.
So you see every single Republican here in this shot raising their hand. This made a considerable amount of news. Do you believe that the conference, which has been let's just say peculiar over the last 3 weeks and has shown a bit of cracking, that the conference would vote in favor of an impeachment of Joe Biden?
Again, I think it's driven by the evidence. As I've said many times, certainly in our constitutional duty to do oversight, certainly an impeachment inquiry phase of that oversight was warranted based on what we had gathered, what Mr. Comer had gathered, what Chairman Smith and the Ways and Means Committee with the 2 IRS whistleblowers who've come forward, who, by the way, Benny, those 2 individuals, Mr. Shapley, Mr. Ziegler, their testimony has not wavered. It has stood up to cross-examination. It has been buttressed and reinforced by every single witness that we have deposed in the Judiciary Committee as we look at how David Weiss handled the investigation. So you got the Ways and Means Committee with the whistleblowers coming forward that they're working on. You got Chairman Comer looking at the suspicious activity reports and the banking records of the Biden business operations. And then what we're doing in Judiciary is looking at how the investigation was handled, how Justice Department, how they handled this whole thing. When all 3 of us will come together at the end and have the evidence, and we'll present that to the conference and see if that warrants moving to actual articles of impeachment.
Well, I mean, I certainly hope that holds out. There is, you have such an unenviable job because there seems to be so much corrupt, like in every direction, right? Thank God we're surrounded because, well, then we can fight the enemy in every direction. And that seems to be you, especially now. There is a new inquiry that has been opened up in the intelligence community for obstructing Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson's investigation. Can you fired off a letter yesterday about opening up this new inquiry. Can you talk me through it?
Well, I want to go back to the start of this Congress because the very first 2 witnesses we had in the Select Committee on the weaponization of these agencies against we the people, the first 2 witnesses we had were Senator Grassley and Senator Johnson, who came and talked about how they believed they were given this defensive briefing as a way to undermine what they were doing and what they were looking into relative to the Biden business operation and Hunter Biden. And so we have now asked the various agencies, let us know what actually took place there based on what they have told us, what Senator Grassley's released. And I think a key component of this, and I mentioned this earlier, is remember Senator Grassley's key staffer, Jason Foster, was the individual who now just learned that he was being spied on. They were looking at his phone records and his email records because Google notified him that, hey, we got a subpoena from the Justice Department several years ago, and we complied with that subpoena. So they were spying on Capitol Hill staffers who were looking into the same thing Senator Grassley, Senator Johnson were looking into. That is a problem. So we're trying to get to how far did that go? Were there other staffers here, Republican staffers on Capitol Hill? Were there members? Were other members given certain briefing? I mean, those are the kind of questions we got to get answers to because that's not supposed to be how it works under our constitutional system.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be the CIA saying that Hunter Biden's laptop is Russian disinformation. But here we are, and those people still have security clearances. How is it possible, Congressman?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you bring that up because when we talked to Scott Brady, the U.S. attorney in the Western District of Pennsylvania a week and a half ago, during his deposition, he was tasked by Attorney General Bill Barr to be the clearinghouse for all information related to Ukraine and related to Hunter Biden. And in the course of that deposition, I finally just asked him, I said, when did you learn about the laptop? Now, remember, he's tasked with this on January 3rd, 2020. He doesn't learn about it was funny. He got a little smile on his face because I guess we were tracking together, and he goes, I didn't learn about the laptop till the story went public in the New York Post on October 14th, 2020. So for 11 months, because they had the laptop even before 2020, they had it in December 2019. For 11 months, they let this guy operate, who's supposed to be the clearinghouse for all information related to Hunter Biden and Ukraine. They don't tell him about the laptop. And he learns like the rest of us learn when it's in the news, when the New York Post reports that story. They also waited 6 months before they told him about the confidential human source. And he finally got to interview this guy, and he told us he felt this guy was credible. So that to me is also emblematic of this problem where these agencies aren't operating, frankly, the way they're supposed to. And it's why we've continued to dig into this for this entire Congress, and we will continue to do so.
It's not just how it's not supposed to. I mean, it's like a criminal enterprise. It's a protection racket. I mean, again, it's funny how there's a through line here when it comes to the breaking of elections, but also the breaking of justice in our country. Everything was set up in order to get Joe Biden over the finish line. And it didn't matter what they needed to destroy to do it. And the country be damned. It feels like more and more, it's like we'll destroy this place before we'll let somebody else take power if it's not us. And they're doing just such damage.
Yeah, slow walk the Biden investigation while you're calling parents terrorists. I mean, slow walk the Biden investigation. Don't share with the key U.S. attorney the information about the laptop while you're saying pro-life Catholics are extremists. Slow walk the Biden investigation while you're doing all these other things, like while you're spying on Republican staffers on Capitol Hill. That is, again, that is a two-tiered system, and again, not supposed to be how it operates. And it's why it's so important we do now, here's the good news, Benny. Because we've done some of this work and we've exposed some of this stuff, there are some things changing. The IRS, for example, no longer makes unannounced visits to Americans' home. They tell us, oh, that's just because we're concerned about our agent safety. Baloney. They made that change because we caught him knocking on Matt Taibbi's door while he's testifying in front of our committee, for goodness sake. So there are some things that are changing and moving in a good direction because of the work we're doing and the work you're doing, letting the country know what's going on.
Is straight up Stalinist. Final thing, and I know you have to go, Congressman. Final thing, I will be calling you Speaker Jordan on this program. I don't care if it's inappropriate. I don't care if it's not completely accurate. You're Speaker Jordan to me. We were hard in the paint for you, Congressman. We like Speaker Johnson quite a bit. We know that he's been kind of a protege of yours, actually, on Judiciary. Just a quick thought on the Speaker's race and Speaker Johnson.
Mike Johnson is a great American, a solid Christian individual, the kind of guy you want in that position. He's doing a great job. I have nothing but great things to say about Mike and his wife. Mike and Kelly and Polly and I, we went to Israel together a few years ago, just the four of us on a trip. It was a great trip. He's a super guy. And again, I think the right values, the right demeanor for that position. And I think he's going to do an outstanding job for the country. All right. Well, Speaker Jordan, not meant to be this time around. Don't worry, we got your back next time. Thanks, man. Thank you so much, Congressman. Take care.